meaning to say, whether I am there in front of you or whether I am not in front of you, watching over you, meaning to say, you still have to perform your job. Do you get what I'm saying? Hello? Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So this is trust. In other words, if I am your immediate superior, whether I am not in your side, I am not there to monitor your work, but because I trust you. So, in your case, you have to prove your worth, that you are worth of giving of the trust that has been given to you by the management. Okay? So when you trust, you have to care your co-employees, and at the same time, you have to care all the resources in the organization, and of course, the respect. Take note of this class, okay? This respect, trust, and caring, you will not be able to get this from the others, but you have to mold it by yourself first. Okay? Just like, for example, respect is not being asked. I'm telling you, respect is not being asked, it is being given. Okay? So, what I'm saying here is this: you respect others if you want to be respected. Okay? So, what I'm saying here is this. For example, when you are late, and then is there respect there? If you are not doing good in your job, is there respect there? No. So, what do you think people will look at you? So, you are disrespecting yourself as you are also disrespecting others. Because respect is not all about uh, you have to bow your heads by saying good words. Respect coincide of what are those things that you say, and at the same time based on your actions as well. Okay, so for example, in your family, your parents teach you how to show respect, so meaning to say they also have to respect themselves first, and they have to show it by example, and before they can say like, oh, you show respect. Okay, just like for example, you love to smoke, and then you are telling your people, do not smoke. Oh, you see? So follow what I say and follow what I do. There is always there a leadership by example, right? So in today's world, trust, caring, and respect, they are looking at it. This is the combination of a more harmonious environment in terms of achieving the goals. Okay. A leader should engage to their employees. So how? So has become a motto for companies that want motivated and committed workers. So what do we mean by engage? All right. So when you say engage, like if I am your immediate superior, it does not necessarily mean that I will just have to give you the command most of the time. Okay. So I have to be there on the ground. When I say on the ground, whatever you do, sometimes I have to do it. I have to show it to you that I am willing. If if you get your hands dirty, I should show it to you that my hands will get dirty too. Do you get my point? In other words, I am not a person here that you'll just normally, oh, you do this, you do that, blah, blah, so on and so forth. No. A leader should do it by himself and show it to their people and how the things are being done. Okay? Because in a way, it is there that you can show them that you are committed to the organization. How do you expect your followers will commit to the organization if you yourself don't want to get your hands dirty? All right? So, in short, whatever you see me, you basically follow what I am saying. Whatever I say, basically, you should listen. All right. So this is what do we mean by employee engagement. If, for example, I am your leader now, and I will tell you, oh, I want you to report on time, and then I come late. So do you think you will respect me? Yes or no? Maybe you said yes, but behind my back you have to say something bad against me. You see? So to become a leader is not easy. All right? To become a leader, you should set An example, to become a leader, whatever you say, it will always validate of the things that you do. Words versus action. Okay? So, when I say of something, as a leader, I should display the things the way it's being done. That's the quality of the leader. So, in that case, if you are going to engage your employee, you will be able to gain their trust. You're going to gain their care, and at the same time, they have to respect. And in return, I have to respect you as well. Okay? So, this is what we mean by employee engagement. So, making relationships rather than rules and schedules a priority. Take note of this. Making relationships. How you will be able to build a good relationship if you don't trust your people? How you will be able to build a good relationship if you don't care your people? How you build your relationship if you are not going to respect your people? Okay? Do you see what I am do you understand what I am saying? Okay? So it's not all about schedule. Let's say, for example, oh, here is the schedule. You follow the rules, blah, 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 so on and so forth. It's by the number. So you have to follow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right? But there is no respect, there is no trust. So in that case, how will you be able to build a good relationships there? So it's what they as what they were saying, it takes two to tango. I will respect you and you have to respect me. All right? So I'll give you this job. I will entrust you this particular job, but you have to take good care of this job. Remember this, when you're going to look for a job, it's really very difficult. Only those people are being hired because they are being trusted by the management. Always take note of this. When you are being hired for a certain position, when you apply for a job, meaning to say, that is the start that the trust is there. All right? So, when you are being hired as an employee, how you have to take good care of your job by caring them, by doing well, by following the standards as well. All right? So, respect, it's not only coming from other people, but respect something that's intangible, meaning you have to respect your job. You have to love your job. And by respecting it, you have to do your best. Show to the management that you are worth for the job. Because I'm telling you, since you are being hired, trust is being there. It's being given to you already. Okay? So, making relationship is not easy for traditional managers who have been accustomed to thinking emotions should be left outside the company gate. So, long time ago, the management it's too dictatorial, meaning to say, just follow what I say. Just like in the military. In the military training, follow what I say before you obey first before you complain. Normally that's in the military, but in the military it's a different thing when you are working in the organization. In the military training, obedience is very important. But I am not saying here that when you're working, obedience is not important. All right? But in the organization, it's a two-way traffic. All right? In the military, it's one way because they are obliged to follow the rules and regulations strictly. And at the same time, they have to learn the discipline. That's the military way. But in the organization, no. Because especially if you're working in the organization, you cannot do a certain job without the help of others. Because based on our previous topic before, you cannot do it by yourself alone. You need somebody who can help you. Okay? So, this is what we mean by trust, caring, respect, and at the same time, leaders should always engage with the employees. Leaders should always be involved, not just giving instructions, but the leader should be there. In other words, if the employees' hands are dirty, I am the leader. I should set the example. I will let them see that I am willing to let my hands dirty as well. Okay. All right. So leadership capacity versus competence. So when you say capacity and competence, you have heard this word already, right? Capacity and competence. You have heard this already, right? Capacity and competence. Have you heard of this? Yes? Hello? Am I still on air?
Yes, sir.
Student. Okay. So just try to acknowledge once in a while. Why? Because I'm trying to test because we don't know that I am still on air because of the internet connection. So that's why I keep on asking you if you're still there. All right. So when you try to look at capacity versus competence, when you say capacity, all right. So traditionally, effective leadership like good management has thought of as competence in a set of skills. Take note of this. Competence is a set of skills, meaning to say the things you are capable of doing. All right? That's your competence. Competence. When you apply for a job, the vacancy, there are already sets of qualifications there. For example, if you're going to apply for cashiering to become a cashier, meaning to say you are good in computations, in numbers. At least you are an accounting major because you are there to accept money in terms of the payment. These are the skills that are being required for the job. Okay, so once of these specific skills are acquired, all one has to do succeed is put them into action. So that is the reason why you are here. You try to study because you want to learn. But I'm telling you guys, in the real world, sometimes you have to do it by your own. In other words, maybe you have full of knowledge there, you know, but you cannot be, the things that you know cannot be translated into action, and that is what we call skills. Okay? So let's say, for example, you are a cashier. Okay? But to be an accounting graduate, or you are a finance graduate, for example, but if you don't know how to operate the equipment, it doesn't make sense at all. So learning to use the equipment or the machine, meaning to say that is an additional skills. Okay? Now, let's try to look at now the capacity. So mind and heart. Take note of this, mind and heart. So what we're talking about here, leadership using mind and heart. It could either be cognitive and emotions, intellectual, emotional. Okay? So capacity, it says here, it's a mind and heart. Is the potential each of us has to do more and be more than we are now. So what we're saying here, what the statement is all about, it's given the fact that once you are there already inside the organization, you are not only using your mind, but that mind supports the heart or the other way around. There is no way of today's organization that you are just there and you are 100% uh, let's say you are genius, you are intellectually high, your intelligence is very very high, but what about this, your heart? In other words, what I'm saying here, if you are a leader and you are very brilliant but you don't know how to understand your people, it doesn't make sense at all. Because remember, in our previous explanation here is this: you have to engage your employees. How you'll be able to engage, how will you be able to understand your employees if you are just purely using your mind? Okay? So in today's capacity, it says here, your capacity as a person, your capacity as a leader, it always involves of two elements. There should be mind and there should be heart. In the organization, knowing that it is a profit organization, by using heart alone, it's not appropriate. Okay? In the organization, there are really times that you have to make a decision. Sometimes your heart is being overruled by your mind because whenever you are going to make a decision, it's always for the benefit of the majority. It's not only for one person. And there are even times, for example, based on the experience, sometimes you don't understand your immediate superior, the way he makes decision. Why? Because he makes unpopular decisions. In other words, what I'm saying is unpopular because he uses his mind, because he thinks that is for the benefit of the majority. Okay? So It does not follow as well as what I'm saying that whenever you make a decision, that you're only using your heart. Because in that case, take note, if you're working for a profitable organization, the company should earn. Unless otherwise, if you're working in a non-profit organization such as charitable institution, it is okay because your function there is to give service, then you are going to use your heart most of the time. Okay? So I am not saying that when you are part of the group and you are a leader, nor you're a follower, you are not using your mind and you are not using your heart, or you are using your mind over heart, or using your heart above mind. This should be a combination. You might be asking, sir, when am I going to use your mind? It depends upon the situation. Okay? You might be asking, sir, when am I going to use my heart whenever I make a decision? It depends upon the situation. Because as you can see, in everything that you do, you have to look at what is happening outside. The things are that happens outside keeps on changing. Keeps on changing. It varies from it varies from time to time. Everything keeps on changing. So that's the reason why there should be a balance between mind and the heart. Okay, so this is what I'm saying: leadership capacity and competence. And this time they say also that capacity is unlimited and defined by the potential for expansion and growth. So what do we mean by this? You are a person. Whenever they say that it's unlimited, because we are capable of increasing our our skills. We are capable of understanding. We are capable of giving much of understanding to our people. You see? So if you are a person, you might be asking, you ask yourself, do a reflective thinking. Let's say, how far can I go? Uh, what are my strengths and my weaknesses? Okay? So have to look at yourself and examine yourself very well. But so to speak, if we're talking about the mind is there. Our brain is very powerful. And that's the reason why we keep on learning and learning and learning. We keep on increasing our experiences because it is unlimited. All right? So caring and trusting, it's there. It is also unlimited. Just like education. All right? Education, learning process, it starts when you were born, and at the same time, it will end when you are already 6 feet below the ground. Okay? Just like, for example, learning. When you born, you tend to learn. But all throughout your survival in this world, you keep on learning. Learning will only stop when you will die. Learning will only stop when you stop breathing. That's the reason why a capacity of a person is unlimited, but it all depends upon the person if he or she is willing to learn. Okay? Do you get what I am saying? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. Okay. Now, the mental models are theories people hold about specific systems in world and their behavior. Okay? So, mental models. So, this is our minds. And what are these models? These are the patterns. And these are the theories. Okay? So, we have talked a while ago the emotions, meaning heart, the mind, which is the intellects. So it says here, the mental model. So in other words, there are already existing theories how our mind works. Okay? So mental models are theories people hold about specific systems in the world and their behavior. All right? So take note of this. In the organization, there is what we call let's say a human pattern, how we react to every situation. That is the best example when and what is a mental model. For example, if I will what we call, if I am going to display my bad attitude, all right, take note of this. If I will become rude, if I don't show respect to one another, do you think people will like me? Basically no, because that is not That is not the standard in the organization. So our mental models in the organizations here, these are theories how we react in a specific situation working with a system. Just like, for example, you are not supposed to steal. You have to be honest. You have to come to work on time. These are our systems. And based on the systems here, goes with the standard and the same times, if we see the rules and regulations, it corresponds on how we behave. All right. So you might be asking where we can find the system. For example, it's your work, how the work is being done, or the rules and regulations. These rules and regulations here are being written in the employee's manual. All right. So these are the patterns. So these rules and regulations. This sets up the way we think. All right. So we have to follow the rules and regulations, and not only me, even the management. They have to follow, because if there is no system, the organization will not into order and it will be disorganized. And once it will be disorganized, meaning to say it will lead to chaos, in which case that's the time that we can no longer achieve our objectives because we don't believe each other, we don't trust each other anymore. So working in the organization, these are group of people working together. They care for each other. They show respect. All right. And at the same time, they trust. Okay. So leaders have many mental models. So again, the leaders have many mental models. In other words, the leaders, because of his competence, because of his capacity, his experience, his knowledge is above others. And that's the reason why he or she can always come up with the new system, think of something what is best for the organization, think of something what is best for the employees or the followers. Okay? Leaders, you cannot just be a leader for nothing. You have to perform. You have to display your good deeds. Okay? But of course, when you are going to set rules, it should always be within the system. All right? You cannot come up with your own rules if it's not aligned to the systems. The systems is being set by the organization. All right? Now, leaders have many mental models that tend to govern how they interpret experiences and how they act in response to people and situations. So, in other words, if I am a leader, the way I react to the crisis, for example, it will have a chain reaction, because whatever you see me, you might be able to get affected, and you will also be. If I am motivated, what are my expectations? When my people sees me that I am motivated, basically they will also be motivated. When I am when I am demotivated to do works, basically my people will also be demotivated. All right? So that is the reason why leaders should know their capacity, should be familiar with the different models. In other words, he should be familiar with this word behavior. Okay? So, as you can see, sometimes in your family, uh, your mother is very strong. Okay? Sometimes there are problems between your mother and your father, but they are not going to let the children get involved with the problem. Sometimes your mother, even she feels down, but she is not going to show you her emotions. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they don't want you to get affected. All right? Because once the followers get affected, in other words, it brings the organization down. Okay? So that's the reason why the management will always project this kind of image that they are strong, that they can compete. Okay? Because that's the way it is. Because when the followers will see the management is very weak, it could either be the employees will no longer be productive and there's a tension they have to leave the organization. Okay? Now, that's the reason why leaders should always be adapted to the different situations. Okay? Leaders, because of the experience and the knowledge, he or she should know how to interpret the experiences, looking at back with the history, the experiences of his people, and he or she should know how to respond to every situations. So it should be very, very careful. And that's what I'm saying. When the leader should use the mind and the heart. If in terms of the crisis, the leader should project that he is very, very strong. Okay? By, of course, showing respect and at the same time trust to his people. For example, one mental model about what makes an effective team member, what makes an effective team is that members share a sense of team ownership and feel that they have authority and responsibility for team actions and outcomes. So, by this statement alone, just try to imagine that these are the team. Okay, look at this word here. Do you see this picture? The word team. Hello? Do you see this picture?
Yes, sir.
Hello. Am I on still on air?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Are
Yeah.
you still there?
Still here, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, for example, looking at this statement, I'm going to illustrate this to you. So, letter T, E, A, M. Try to look at letter E. T, E represents a team player one. T represents a one person. E represents one person. A represents one person, and M. So putting their efforts together, meaning to say they work as one. The effort of one, two, three, four, it will be combined. And the effort of one cannot stand alone without the effort of two, three, and four. So, in other words, based on their own understanding, they have ownership. Okay? They have the authority by their own and they have the responsibility for whatever happens of the outcome. So, what I am saying here, let's say the combination of the way they think, they agreed that they have to go somewhere to become productive. Just like, for example, in playing a basketball, the objective of the team is to win and to become a champion. But to become a champion, it's not only the effort of one player. It should be the entire player. It should be all of them. Now, if the entire thing think that I have to do my best because this is my team. Okay? This is my team. This is my team. So every member of the organization think that they own the team. They own themselves. By owning themselves, you have to do their effort. All right? So they have to think that if I will fail, all right? If I will fail, meaning I might be the cause of the problem. So I have to do my best. All right? So if they think that I we have to win, we have to win, we have to win, combining both efforts, they are in one direction. So the reason why they will be become champion because they are contributing the best possible efforts that they can contribute to on the organization. So that is the same as like if the sales will go up, if the organizations will earn more profit, etc., it is because of the followers. Okay. So these are an example of mental models. Mental models, you have your ownership. You have your all feelings to the team. You have the sense of ownership, the sense of authority, and the sense of responsibility. Whatever actions that you can give or whatever it is that you can contribute, it will be always for the best outcome of the best outcome for the organizations. Okay. All right. So this is what we mean by the mental model and the way we think as well. All right. So I have here in notes. As a leader, you can expand the capacity of your mind, heart, and spirit, consciously engaging in activities that use aspects of the whole self. You can reflect on your own experiences to learn and grow from them. So this is what I am saying. Our capacity to learn is unlimited. Our capacity to understand is unlimited. So how? Okay, how? And that is the reason why when you say capacity to learn, learning is coming from your education and at the same time through your own experience. All right? So, it's also the same the heart. In what aspect that you will understand because you see different you see different situations already. Okay? So do not be confused when are you going to use your mind and the heart, mind and heart, and at the same time there's an additional here, the spirit. The spirit is something that is intangible. We cannot see them, but it's there in your side, in your mind and your heart. Once the spirit of winning it's there, you will push yourself the best ability that you can. Okay? So again, as a leader, you can expand the capacity of your mind, meaning to say capacity of your own learning, capacity of your own understanding, combining them both, meaning to say it that's the spirit will boost your morale. How? You have to engage in your activities. In other words, you okay, for example, some of the successful leaders, they travel a lot. Okay? They study, they think, they read newspapers every day because to they want to be updated of what's going on outside. Okay? So that's how we expand our capacity. Our capacity is unlimited. As what I am saying, learning is a never ending process. It starts when you're born and it went until it will stop when you stop breathing. Okay? And let's say, for example, once you have learned, try to pause for a while and reflect. Do you know what reflect is? You have to pause for a while and think, what are those things that I have done? What are those things that I have learned? What are those things that makes me a better person? What are those things that I have encountered that it pains me? What are those things that gets me frustrated? What are those things that makes me strong? Okay, so you can reflect on your experiences to learn and grow from them. So don't stop because just like for example in my case, yeah, I can speak for myself. I've grown so much pain, so much motivation, so much of everything. And that is the reason why I can share you this much because I have experienced these things what I am saying. Okay? I've been working in the organization, I've been teaching, I've been studying, so on and so forth. And it for me it's not enough. Why? I should keep on learning because if I stop learning, meaning to say the world it's not the world keeps on moving. All right? The society keeps on changing. And that is the reason why we have to learn. We have to increase our capacity based on what we have learned and at the same time on how far we understand each other. Because in a team, remember this one, we have to show respect. You have to show trust. All right? So another way here is a leader, you can become aware of your mental models and how they affect your thinking behavior. You can learn regard assumption. All right. So what in other words, the way you think, the way you behave, it is based on your previous experiences. The things that you know will mold the way you behave yourself, the way you think. All right? For example, if the things or experiences gives you bad experiences, and it will become you a person who hates people that much. All right. So that is a negative learning. So, however, you know what is wrong and what is right. If people hurt you, are you going to have a revenge? Are you going to hurt people as well? No, you cannot. All right. If for others they love to give revenge. Oh, you hurt me, I will hurt you several times as well. But leaders, no, cannot. Why? Because the leaders will always understand, oh, the reason why this person behaved this way because blah 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 blah. Okay? Again, a leader should not hurt his follower. Instead of hurting, not necessarily that literally you'll not be hurt. There are some leaders who will make a decisions that quote and unquote that will hurt, meaning to say it is intentionally done because the leader would like to let the follower experience and gain a lesson of it. Okay? For example, as a teacher, as much as possible, I don't want to fail my students. Provided, take note of this, students, provided, show me that you are exerting effort, that you are committed to your studies. In that case, I am not going to use my mind by looking at your scores that you fall below, that you are really failure, you did not pass. But I will consider you, I will use my heart because I am seeing your effort. I saw your effort that you showed commitment being as a student. You pass all the requirements, you come to school on time, blah, blah, so on and so forth. But so to speak, you cannot really, for example, get a prescribed score. But as a teacher, will I fail you? No, I will not fail you. I will always give you chance because you are there. Do you get what I'm saying? So this is my style. I will not fail you provided whenever I say you study and then you come to class on time, do not be absent, submit your work, and then towards the end, your scores, you failed all the examinations. But I see you, you are submitting all the requirements. When I check the attendance, you're always there. Basically, I am going to use my heart. Do you get what I'm saying? Hello? Hey?
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Okay, all right. So take note, huh? The message is very, very clear. Me as a teacher, sometimes, as much as possible, I don't want to fail my student, provided there is a condition there. But the worst thing there is, quote and unquote, I will hurt my student by giving a failing mark. Why? Because I want the student to learn. I want the student to go back again and at the same time learn the mistakes. Why? What are those mistakes? Always absent. Did not report the did not fulfill all the requirements. And here you are, the student would like to ask for a passing mark. Will I give a passing mark? Definitely no. Okay? So based on my experience as a teacher, I've been teaching for so many years already. I'm telling you, back in the Philippines, graduating student, there are 12 of them. I did not pass them. They were not able to graduate. Why? Because they did not comply the requirements. They're absent most of the time. So are they worth passing? No, they are not. So I gave them a lesson. Okay? And mind you, after that they failed, they were not able to graduate. And then after, months after, and they say, Sir, thank you very much. We learned that lesson. Oh, that's the lesson that I give. Okay? So um our capacity is unlimited. You will learn it through education. You will learn it through situation and through experience by engaging yourself to a certain activities through experiences. In that case, it's how you are, how you will, how will mold you in terms of your behavior and at the same time the way you think. So with the leader as well. All right. Okay. So Google leaders mental model. They stay here. Okay. This is a mental model. All right. So stay uncomfortable. They say uncomfortable. Do you think you will learn if you are comfortable? Yes or no? Will you learn if you are comfortable? Yes or no? Do you understand when I say comfortable? You are in your comfort class. Will you learn if you are comfortable? If you are just there? For example, you are just there. You are not studying. You are not here with me. You are in your respective homes. You're just watching TV, eating your snacks, playing your gadgets. That's the comfortable life. But the fact that you are here, you woke up early, you comply all the requirements, that gives you uncomfortability. You see the point? In other words, You will never learn if you are on the state in your life that you are comfortable. You will learn if you are uneasy. If there are some things that, if there are struggles, trials, challenges in your life, in that case, you are learning. Take note of this. All right? So you learn if you keep on moving, if you encounter difficulties, if you encounter hardships in your studies, in that case, you are learning. So it is okay to be uncomfortable. It is fine. All right? Anything that it will just come. Everything in this world, it's just temporary. I'm telling you. When you graduate, it will be a different challenge. Okay? Now, another thing here is let failure coexist with triumph. So what I'm saying here is this. You will never become successful if you don't fail. All right? So don't be afraid to fail. It is okay to fail because it is through failure that you will learn. All right? So you will never become a champion if you are not a beginner. Okay? You will never become the number 10 if you don't pass with the number 1. Okay? You will never become the best if you are not the worst. Okay? So it is always like that. Feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about failure. Failure is there. You can just see like I think it's Michael Jordan or any of your singers, for example, in Indonesia. There are people who became very, very successful, but the point is they struggled. They failed several times. So don't be afraid to fail. This is what I am telling you. All right? Always rise up and believe in yourself because it is in failure that you will learn. Okay? Failure, it's okay. Failure, it's fine. Now, use a little less management than you need. All right? So in other words, the simpler the better. It is fine. So this is there's a saying goes this way: do not bite more than you can chew. For example, if you're going to eat an apple, are you going to swallow the entire apple? Basically, no. You're going to bite piece by piece. Okay? So do not bite more than you can chew. Also, like this, if you are seeing your classmates getting a high grades, become the number one, it is okay. Nothing to compete. It is fine. Even though you are just getting an average grade, no need. It is okay for as long that you are moving. Okay? And then defy conventions. In other words, you have to change the way it is being done. You have to introduce also innovation. Okay? Don't just stay right there waiting for nothing. Okay? You have to move forward. And then you have to move fast and figure things out as you go. All right? In this world, everything now is in fast phase. As you can see, technology is there. I am telling you, I am not really a techie person because during my younger years, we don't have this kind of technology. But I have no choice. I have to learn. Okay? I learn slowly, slowly, slowly until such time that I learn. So here I am now talking to you today. So that is the reason why do not be afraid. It is okay. So, but the most important thing here is you have to work as fast as you can. What I'm saying here is this: if you are going to be productive today, then do it now. Don't just wait it for tomorrow because tomorrow it's another day. There are other things that you have to do. So whatever things that you have to do today to make you a better person, then do it. Okay? And that's the reason why sometimes, especially younger generation, we tend to procrastinate. And just like, for example, it's okay, the project that is given to me by sir and mom, we'll have to do it anyway, we still have enough time. You see that? And then towards the end of the deadline here, you're cramming. You are stressing yourself already. Okay? So, common denominator, mental models do not stay in one place. It is okay to feel uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable, meaning to say you are moving, you are learning. Do not be afraid to fail. Okay? Do not compare yourself to others. Okay? The best competitor, not others, but you compete yourself. Just be sure that you are better today as compared than yesterday. Do not look at your classmates. Maybe you look at your classmates, but it is okay. You try to appreciate your accomplishments, but do not belittle yourself. In other words, do not underestimate yourself. Okay? So just keep on moving even though you're doing slowly, but it is fine. All right? You work in your own comfort zone, you work within your phase. Okay? But as much as possible, move fast and figure things out, because just like for example in business no one can wait. We have to move forward. If you are working there, experience that there's really pressure there to be given by your immediate superior. Now, how will you be able to change your mindset or the changing of mental models? Okay, the mindset, just like for example, your mindset will be like this. It is okay that I will not be able to submit my requirements because I don't have the deadline when am I going to graduate. Because anyway my parents are there. They can afford to spend my studies. They can pay my tuition fees. But I'm telling you, no, it is not like that, because time is moving. And so with the organization, let's say for example, the mindset of the top leader has always played a key role in the organizational structures. Okay? So try to go back in our organizational structure. If you are the president or the general manager, what you're going to project is your organization will be competing with your competitors. How? By increasing your profitability, increasing your market share. Because in so doing, the people down the line will work hand in hand. And in the long run, if you are effective as a leader, meaning to say, you'll be able to meet the objective because your people is motivated to work. Okay? So, for business leaders, the uncertainty and volatility of today's environment is reflected the sharp increase of number of companies. So, try to look at this one here. If you go out from school and try to look at in the commercial district, you can see that there are lots of businesses are growing. So you just have to imagine yourself, what if I am the manager there? How will I be able to lead my people? Okay? So how will I be able to entice these customers to eat my restaurant? Okay? So in other words, if your company is there competing with each other, your competitor also thinks the same way. Okay? So within that area, if there are 5 restaurants there, don't think, don't just think that 5 restaurants there will stay forever. There are other restaurants that might join the business. From 5 it will make 7, 8, or 10, and the competitions there will be more tougher. Elimination of the weak. So of the 5, there are some organization, there are some restaurants there will be closed down because no customers. Why? Failure of the leader to lead the group. And there are some, they started very small and they become the number one. Why? Because it is the leader's direction. It is the leader's capability or the mindset, the capacity of the leader to think what is good for the organization. Okay? So what we're changing here, like the leader should have a proper mindset towards organizational success, how he is going to convert this word success into instruction that these people will work according to meeting the objective. Because a leader looks that there is uncertainty, there is volatility. So uncertainty, we are not sure yet whether by tomorrow we will close down, because the market keeps on changing. We don't know. Our competitor, there are 3, but we don't know. A year from now, there will be 10 or 12 or 20. What will happen to us? Okay? So, the leader here should think, always think. Okay? So, change the mindset by looking forward, assessing the market, uh, reading newspapers, blah, blah, so on and so forth, because he is the one who is going to set the direction. Okay. Next. So, how to develop a leader's mind? So, how do leaders make a shift to a new mental model? Okay. So, this is what I think. For example, this is what I'm saying. The way I think now, the way I think, the way I behave because of my previous experiences, because of my previous education. Now, it says here, how are we going to develop the leader's mind? So, the leader's mind can be developed beyond the non-leaders in four critical areas. Okay, take note of this. If you want to become a leader, you should be an independent thinking person. When I say independent, you cannot just persuade by the way others think. You might be able to listen to their opinion, but you have your own judgment. Okay? Let's say, for example, there are some friends or advisors that will tell you, oh, do this, do that, blah, blah, so on and so forth. You just have to listen to them. But at the end of the day, meaning to say, you always have to come up with your own judgment on whether what is best for you and what is best for the organization. Okay? So that is what we call the independent. Independent, it's a different thing when you say dependent. I cannot make decision because I'm still waiting them to give me the advice and I have to depend on them. So what will happen to the organization? All right? It will become shaky. There is a tendency that it will fall down. Okay? So the reason why to become a leader, it is not just easy because you are going to come up with your own judgment. So a leader should be independent. The way he think is different from the others. The way he think is should be unique. The way he thinks should always be new to the market. Okay? And a leader should be open mind. A leader should have this open mind. In other words, everything that he sees or feel, etc., it is fine with me, no problem. That is part of soliciting an opinion. Okay? If you are being criticized, it is okay. All right? If you are being if people will say bad things against you, it is okay, no problem. But at the end of the day, it is you who's going to understand them. It is you who's going to assess. And sometimes there is no such thing at almost everything. All of us know we don't have the monopoly of knowledge here. There are some people like, no, I don't listen your idea because you are wrong. No, it should not be like this. The leader should always be, okay, what is best? What can you say about this one? Blah, blah, so on and so forth. But a leader should listen. That's not the way, like, for example, if you're going to tell me like this and I have to follow what you are saying, no. Okay? No, I am just listening to you. Maybe we have the same mindset or maybe we are on the opposite. Okay? Because you are independent, you cannot be easily persuaded, you cannot be easily influenced by others, but you have to listen them. Okay, by listening them, meaning to say, it adds a factor that will lead you to somewhere else whenever you make a decision. Okay, now how do leaders make a shift in mental model? Then you have to think of systems thinking. So when you say systems thinking, don't just look for a certain situation. You have to look for a bigger thing, meaning to say, let's say, whenever I do this, how does it affect to my employees? How does it affect to the market? How does it affect to my colleagues? You see? So whenever you make a decision, don't just think for yourself. So you have to look at the every sides of the coin, meaning to say, whenever I make this decision, do you think it will be good? Will it be bring good rather than bad, or will it be bad for the organization if I'll do this way? Because remember, again, a leader is just easy. You are the captain of the ship, you are the pilot of the airplane. So whatever directions that you want to do, it will fall, it will go up or go down, it is your responsibility. So it's not that easy. All right, so a leader should have a personal mastery. All right. He thinks independent. He has the open mind. He thinks for the betterment of the majority to make it better. And at the same time, he should have a uh, in other words, because of his experience and because of his knowledge, he was able to master. He was able to see things. All right. In other words, he he knows what will happen if I will make this thing. He knows what will happen if I am not going to do this and to do that, blah blah, so on and so forth. In other words, a leader should know how to anticipate things. Okay, a leader should be capable of doing the forecasts. A leader should have the foresight. I am not saying that a leader has a leader is a teller. No, a leader judges based on his own experience. The leader should judge according to what he sees in the market. Okay, a leader should decide on what is best for the organization. Okay, that's the reason why he became a master because of his own experiences and his own learning and his knowledge. And that's the reason why we were talking a while ago about his capacity. The capacity about the mind and the heart. When are you going to use that? So the reason why we have to shift our mental model once in a while, because look at the society, it keeps on changing. For example, me, in my case, I cannot be just doing the old traditional way. No, it's there. No, no, cannot be. Because today, the mindset of the younger generation is different from the younger generations during my age. Okay? So things keeps on changing. Technology is there. We are being molded by our technology. Social media, it's there. We have different applications, etc., so on and so forth. So that is the reason why a leader should always change the way he think. How independent, open-minded, systems and personal mastery. Okay? So when you try to look at how we are going to think independently, you have to ask questions. All right? Ask questions. And you have to interpret the data. So the data here, you have to look backward years ago, 5 years. When you do your, in the organization, there's such thing like you have to do your strategic planning, the marketing planning, so on and so forth. In other words, in the future, you might be able to come up with assumptions. These assumptions is drawn from interpreting from the data from the past. Because no one can tell what really happens in the near future. All right. So we decide based on what we saw, based on what is the pattern 5 years or 10 years ago. But when we do our planning, I use the 5 year backward. Okay. So there will always be assumptions. For example, today. So we are already like 2 years in COVID. So what would be your assumptions by 3 years from now? So we just have to assume that COVID maybe it will little by little it will just fade away, and that is our assumption. Because what is the basis there? Because we are vaccinated, and at the same time the scientists are keep on doing well, they keep on monitoring. So there is a possibility that there are already medicines that we can buy over the counter. So this is an assumption. Our assumptions that we will be free from COVID. Why? Because we can say that the vaccination drive is being run all throughout the world, and this is what believe, and this gives us the idea, and this is that leads how we think today. All right. So rather than pre-established rules or categories defined by the others, so this is what we see in the entire world. All right. So if I am the leader, what will happen to my organizations then? So maybe we will do good because of my assumption. My assumption is later on we will be better. And I think every leaders now are watching, because the in terms of business, every country is trying to open out the border. I don't know in Indonesia, is your border there open already for the tourists, for the foreigners to go to Indonesia? Is your airport open now for the foreign visitors? Class, do you have any idea? Is Indonesia now open? Is the airport open now, accepting visitors from other country? Class, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it clear? Any
Yes.
question? Are you still awake or just sleeping? Oh, wake up, huh? Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, how to become open mind? Okay. So, one approach to independent thinking is to break out the mental boxes. Okay. What do we mean by mental boxes? Example is this is the way we think because this is our experience. That's close-minded. So when you say open mind, you have to see the reality. When you say think outside of the box, meaning to say based on your experience, you are molded by your experience and the knowledge, but here we go, your experiences might different from the reality. So you have to open up your mind because as what we were saying, our behavior and the way we think is being formed because of our experience and because of our knowledge. But open-mindedness, it's all about seeing the reality. As what I am saying, it's uh, the generations of yesteryears is different from today. Okay? By being open-minded, meaning to say, look what is happening outside. Okay? So in other words, don't just judge people because you really don't know what's the reason behind. Okay? So you have to break out the mental boxes. Continuously learn. You have to learn what's going on outside. Why people do this and do that, etc., so on and so forth. Don't just condemn people. Don't just give judgment because that's the leadership. Leadership works because everything happens outside. It keeps on changing. So they categorize thinking that patterns you have been conditioned to accept as correct. Okay? So you have to open your eyes, open your ears, and internalize and discern what is best. Okay? So leaders have to keep, quote and unquote, keep their mental muscles. In other words, you have to loosen up. Don't just be too stiff. In other words, it is okay that, for example, you are being molded of your previous experiences, but you have to loosen up because part of loosening up, meaning to say you are adapting to the changes of the environment. But when you are going to be open-minded person, it adds new learning. Okay? So in every event, in every aspect, in every situations, it adds something to your learning. Okay? Just like for example, you go to the party, and before going to the party, you eat more food. Okay? You eat more because you're so hungry. And you know, the invitation is okay, you come because we will have dinner. The invitation is dinner. And before you go into the dinner, you eat already. So once you are there, you're no longer you don't have the desire to eat because you're already full. Now, once you're not going to eat there because you're full, you will fail to taste the food. Okay? That's a simple logic there. If you're being invited, for example, for a dinner, it's okay to eat small. But remember the word dinner. So, meaning to say the host is providing you with a different type of food, etc., for you to enjoy. Okay? So meaning, if your stomach is full, how will you be able to eat and taste the food there? No. So in other words, if your mind is closed and you are not going to entertain new events, understanding new trends, etc., meaning to say you are closing, you are tightening your mental muscle, and it does not make good if you're talking about open-mindedness. So loosening up, open your eyes, listen, and see what happens next. In that case, by listening and by hearing, meaning by listening at the same thing, opening your eyes, meaning to say it adds something to your experience, and at this time you're learning as well. All right. Study notes. As a leader, you can train yourself to think independently. Okay, take note of this. So sooner or later, or even yourself, train yourself to become independent. Okay, you can be curious, keep an open mind, and look at a problem or situation from multiple perspectives before reaching your conclusions. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. If you try to look at an employee, his behavior, for example, always late, cannot perform well, etc., so on and so forth, you are the leader. Try to observe. Don't just give judgment. Just like, for example, in our case, we teachers, if the student is not really performing, maybe there's something there must be something that bothers the student. And that is the reason why we normally talk to the students as well. We have to know why. All right? Because the leader will always be there to help. The leader will always be there to guide. The leader will always be there to motivate. Okay? So don't just judge. Oh, I don't like this person because this is the way he looks. I don't know. No, I don't like him. You see, you keeps on judging people. I don't like this employee, blah blah so on and so forth. No. As a leader, you have to talk to the person as well and come up with your own conclusion. Once you come up with your conclusions, then think on how you will be able to help the person. If the person is willing to be helped by others. Okay? So that's another thing, huh? If a person independent, if you're a person who is welcome that others will help you, then help yourself first before you expect others to help you. Just like, for example, a student, you want a good grades and you are not studying. And how will you be able to help you? Because you are not helping yourself. As simple as that. Okay? Now, evaluate your skill in three dimensions of mindfulness, including intellectual simulation, by completing the exercise of leadership insight. So, in other words, the things that you have learned there, it can only be tested once you will be able to encounter different types of situations in your life. Okay? In everything that you do, everyday routine, there are really things that might happen that will test your the way you think, the way you come up with your judgment, and how you'll be able to adapt to every situation, and how capable you are of absorbing those new experiences and at the same time the new learning. Okay. Now, systems thinking, the ability to see the synergy of the whole rather than just separate elements of a system. Okay. So a leader should think, as what I have said, the leader should think for the entire employees. Okay. So whenever he makes a decision, he's not only looking for the one person, he's not only working for the one person, so on and so forth. So whenever he makes a decision, he should look at the entire employees in the organization because he is a leader. He leads the entire group. He not only lead for one or two persons. All right. So this is what we mean by systems. Whenever we buy a new equipment, does it improve our production? Does it improve our quality? Does it improve our profitability? Okay. So a leader should ability to see the synergy to bring this person as one and no one should be left behind. Okay. So many people have been trained to solve problems by breaking the complex system, such an organization into discrete parts and working to make each part perform as well as possible. So, in this statement, sometimes in a bigger system, sometimes the systems is being divided into subsystems. Just like, for example, in a bigger organization, there are different types of department. There is marketing, there is accounting, there is human resources, there is operations, is blah blah, so on and so forth. So in every unit there, this is what we call a subunits. Okay, in every department, these are what we call units. Okay, and there are subunits there, like for example, marketing, there are sub functions there, subunits. So to make it as a whole, meaning to say, if you try to look at the entire system, you're going to make it simplex rather than complex. Because I'm telling you, an organization, it's quite a complex environment. It's complicated. Why it is complicated? Because it is composed of several people, and these people came from different environment, and these people came from different experiences, and they are being molded by their own experience at the same time, their own knowledge, and it will lead them the way they behave. Okay, so what I'm saying here is this: if you're a leader, if you are leading with 10 or 15 people, it's very difficult because your members, they have different types of sets of mindset. They have different types of mental model. In other words, they think differently. Okay, the challenge is how you will be able to put them together by doing the systems thinking, and you have to put them together here, and then you're not just going to select one or two, but you have to carry all of them. Okay, so what makes it complex? Because they have different personalities and experience, they think differently, and expect that there's always arguments, they're always fighting, but you are there to mediate. Okay, you are there to build and give a good relationship by trusting each other, and at the same time you're going to give respect to one another. All right, so in the real systems, for example, systems thinking circles capacity. So this represents the systems of the entire organization. Okay, so what is this? This is the objective. This is the revenue, and the revenue goes this way. There is a research and development projects. This is just an example, because in every organization they have different patterns. They have different systems as well. But this is an example of one organization. I think this is an engineering, whatever company would that be. Okay, this is the revenue, meaning to say this is our the income, the sales, etc. And here is the research and development that we're going to come up with our budget, and there is a new products, and this, you see that it's very very complex, and there is size of engineering staff, and there's complex, and there's delay, blah blah, so on and so forth. There's a management, you see. But again, this is just an example. Oh, this is just an example of a system, because in every organization they have different types of systems, in which case how they work, how they produce products, how they provide services to their customers. Okay, but the reason why I'm letting you see this, because this is very very complex. Okay, in this case, it's, look at this. You will never know when the circle ends, as you see that, and then where the circles here from the budget, at the same time from the operations, for example. Okay, and try to look at this one. Oh, it keeps on moving the arrow, but you don't know where it ends. So this is how people follow this pattern in order to achieve their common objectives. All right. Okay. It's just an example. So don't be afraid to look at that. This is just an example of how a system's the picture of the entire system. So in other words, if I am a leader, I should see this type of picture, the flow of the system, so that whenever I make a decision, it could either be, what if, for example, what the causes of the delay here. So I might be able to eliminate this or change this function, blah blah, so on and so forth. Okay, for the improvement of the organization. All right. So we discussed already a personality mastery. So is the discipline of personal growth and learning, and of mastering yourself. It embodies personal visions, facing reality, and holding creative tension. Okay. All right. So in other words, I will give you a real scenario. You are there, listening to me, enrolled at the university. Okay. You want to become a master of your own field. Let's say, for example, when years from now. So you have to learn the discipline. Okay. You have to allow yourself to grow. How will you be able to grow? You have to study. And every day you learn, because you encounter different types of people. Okay. You learn, and how come that you will become a master later? Because of your experiences, because of your education, you tend to mold this kind of mindset, and it will be displayed the way you speak and the way you behave. Okay? And what is the reason why you are there listening to me now? Because you have your own visions. Okay? What is the purpose? Why really have you take time to enroll this particular course and take the subjects, and it feels you uncomfortable? Because you want to learn. Because someday you will be out there. And by looking at this personal vision, you cannot set aside that in everyday thing that happens in your life, there are realities. Okay? Reality of suffering, reality of hunger, the reality of being thirsty, the reality of being sleepy. But at the end of the day, you have to hold that kind of tension as of the moment, and you have to be very, very creative. So looking at this, looking at yourself as a student and looking at the person who works in the organization, these are the things that is being needed if you try to master yourself. Okay? So that is the reason why the leaders or the managers should not stop from there. And that's the reason why they are being sent for training. They are sent for further education. They are sent to be up there to learn new things. They are given a scholar grant, for example, to study, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Because these people, once they learn outside, whatever experiences that they may encounter, whatever these new things that they learn from outside, it will be translated to something that once they go back to the organization, and they have to come up with a creative thinking by suggesting for innovation, for example. Okay, so how you master? You have, first and foremost, you have a discipline to yourself. As a student, how do you discipline yourself? Okay, you try to reflect. Okay, if I'm going to ask you, as a student, do you discipline yourself? Some would say yes, some would say no. So, how you'll be able to discipline yourself? Meaning to say, you have to sleep early, wake up early, study your lesson. Once your teacher will give you a deadline, you work as fast as you can and submit it on time. Okay? So that's how you discipline yourself. Now, doing the projects, etc., so on and so forth, you might be thinking, oh, we're doing this project because you are doing this project, but you see, whenever we work already somewhere out there, we don't need this. We will always forget these things. No, no. The things that the teachers will tell you to do, that is a way of forming you to become a better person. Okay? So you might be able to forget that whatever project that we will let you to do, but however, the exposure is there. Okay? Whatever it is, meeting deadline, meaning to say, that's a discipline. Coming to school on time, that is discipline. Okay? And letting the project, the teachers will let you do the project, doing research, that is for your own personal growth. You will never grow if you don't know of something that is new. All right. If you know only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you stop from there, you don't know what is 11, what is 12, up to 100. You see? So discipline yourself. Once you discipline yourself, meaning to say, you will be able to acquire growth by learning new things. And later on, it will form you to a better person through your words and your actions, because you have visions, and at the same time you learn because you experience this in your daily life, and that is reality. Whatever you learn in theories, sometimes it's being validated on the things what you see in inside, what you see outside. Okay, holding on and be creative. Okay, think of something new. Let's say, for example, you have the vision. What will happen to me after graduation? What is my plan? Okay, what makes me happy? Blah blah, so on and so forth. Okay, so today we'll be talking about emotional intelligence, mind and heart. So psychologists And other researchers, as well, people in all walks of life, have long recognized the importance of cognitive intelligence or IQ in determining a person's success. I think I've talked too much already. When I say emotional, it involves heart. When I say your mind, it involves your brain. So, some have suggested that emotion more than cognitive ability drives our thinking and decision making as well as our interpersonal relationships. Okay, so this is what they say. But if you're going to ask my personal opinion, you cannot just use your heart, you cannot just use your mind, but it should always be a combination on a different situation. Okay. So if you are a leader, you should know where to place yourself. You know when you're going to come up with the decision, it could either be you're using your heart or using your head. Because if you are in the organization, the objective there it's always for the benefit of the majority. You cannot sacrifice by making one decision in favor of one, two, or three. You make a decision because it gives benefit to the majority. Okay? Of course, whenever you make a decision and the decision is not favorable to you, you feel hurt. But it is okay. No problem. That's the way it is. Okay? So I'm telling you, again, if you try to go back to our mental models, don't just stay to be there, happy, comfortable, etc. If you're just comfortable there and you're not just contented, then in case you are not learning at all. Right? Now, emotional intelligence, a person's abilities to perceive, identify, understand, and success. Okay, so we'll try to discuss on this. So emotions, we're using our heart. How is the ability you to see, perceive? Okay, it's how you see things in a different perspective. Let's say, for example, if I see a person who is, if I see a person begging and I have to see it, oh, what happens to this person? Okay, is there something wrong? Blah, blah, blah. Did he do something about himself? Blah, blah. So it depends upon your own interpretation. So you have to identify and basically you have to understand and successfully match emotional self. Right. So though you are also using your emotions, but you really have to identify and understand, okay, and try to still manage. Okay. So being, okay, using your heart does not mean that you are going to tolerate most of the time. Okay? There are some things that you may be able to tolerate, etc. You may be lax, but giving too much is dangerous. Okay? For example, a student asking a reconsideration by not submitting the project on time. Then, okay, I would say, yes, okay, all right, it's okay. I'll understand that. I'll give you another chance. And there you go. The student did not take the exam. And then the student asking, requesting again for reconsideration. And I would say, okay, it's okay, blah, blah, so on and so forth. And so on and so forth without knowing what's the reason why that is the problem. Okay? So in other words, using your heart, you should also have to manage. You are not going to tolerate because if you are just keeping on tolerating the students, giving more chances, you are not helping the student. You are just tolerating the student to become lazy. All right. So this also, for example, if you're working in the organization, there, good for you if your leaders will understand you towards the end. But I'm telling you, you are being paid. There is a tendency that you will be terminated. You'll be fired because you are not doing your job. That's the problem there. Okay. So leaders can harness and direct the power of emotions to improve satisfactions, morale, motivation, well as enhance overall organization effectiveness. This is true. Leaders should always understand in order that the person should learn, should increase the morale, and should the person motivated, should the students motivated, for example, but tolerating is another story. Okay? Because if I keep on understanding and understanding most of the time and the person is not growing, for me, that is stupidity. Okay? Maybe the person is not fit for the job, or maybe the person it's not happy with the environment. Okay? So maybe there is really time that you have to let go of the person. meaning to say he is not fit for the environment. And who knows, this person will be better and will make good once he's going to transfer to other department or go or do something that's quite different. And that's what we really have to understand. We have to identify those problems, but not tolerating them. I'm telling you, because I really hate to tolerate. Okay? Because if I give most of the time the understanding, I am not helping. All right. So, because again, if you want to be help yourself first. If you want to be disciplined, discipline yourself, because nobody discipline you. Don't expect that others will discipline you. You have to discipline yourself first. All right? Okay. So, what are emotions? It's very clear. When you're happy, when you're sad, blah, blah, blah. You see, one important ability for leaders is to understand the range of emotions people and how these emotions may manifest themselves. Okay? Take note. If you are a student, and then, for example, you get high good grades, and the more that you are motivated to study your lesson. Now if you are an employee and your boss will tell you, congratulations, you did a good job, and in that case you will feel motivated. You see, so you will say your emotions there. So these are the emotions, these are the key that the leader should look at. If the leaders should see their people that they are no longer happy, that's quite dangerous. Okay? If the leaders fail to see the emotions of their people, that is a problem to the organization. Okay? So if the leaders fail to see that their people are no longer happy with the environment, that's really very dangerous. Okay? So it's the thing that you have to feel, and a leader should always look at how my people, are they still happy? What makes them happy? What makes them learn? Do I need to give them another type of job? And that's the reason why sometimes leaders who are creative, they tend to expose their people in the different types of tasks. They have to do routinary thing. They have to reshuffle them, because in most cases there are employees that they are already comfortable in their position and they get bored. All right, so that is the reason why you have to shift, the schedule, and at the same time maybe assign to other department in order the person to grow as well. So leaders should always be sensitive and should always be keen to their observations in terms of the emotions of their employees. All right. So 8 families of emotions you enjoy, you are having fear, you're surprised, you're sad, you're feeling shame, disgust, anger, and of course, this one here is really very important. This is love. Okay? Take note of this. If you're a person, if you're an employee, you have to love yourself. You have to love your job. By giving love, you have to respect and trust others as well. Because if you cannot have this and you created fear to your people, you created anger, you make your people angry. You think the organization will do good? No. Maybe for a surprise, but a leader should give surprise, but something that motivates the organization. Okay? So whenever you make a decision, there are people that who really make sad because that decision is not in favor to them. And if you are dealing with your people, please do not put your people into shame. Okay? Do not scold them. Do not shout at them in front of other people. Instead, talk to your people in a certain area, in a private place that you can talk, and then maybe he can share the problems. Don't just shout in front of others because you're putting this person into shame. And there's a tendency that instead of you are helping the person or you are motivating the person, it doesn't work at all being as a leader. All right? So much with anger, so much with enjoyment. For enjoyment, it is okay. All right? But others, you have to be very careful as a leader. Okay? So components of emotions intelligence, You have to have this self-awareness. You should know yourself. The ability to recognize and understand your own emotions and how affect your life work. Just like, for example, in your case, as a student, are you aware about your own self? This is really very important. All right. So you have to be aware of the things that you do, the things that you say. Okay. And by that, you have to manage yourself very well. Ability to control disruptive harmful emotions. For example, if you are in the heated argument, don't fight, don't hurt other people. It could either be you walk away or you just have to listen and calm down. Okay? Don't fight each other because it doesn't make sense. All right? Instead of solving the problem, you're adding problem to another problem. Okay? Now, as a person, are you socially aware? What is this awareness? One's ability to understand and empathize with others. Okay, so we are using here our emotions or EQ. Okay, so don't judge people right away. You have to understand them. You have to understand how they feel. All right, and you have to be sincere with them. Okay. So relationship management, the ability to connect with others and build positive relationships. So whenever you want to build a relationship with your coworkers, what are those things that you should do? You have to trust yourself, trust others. You have to discipline yourself as well. Because how will you be able to build a good relationship if you are very abusive? You are not respecting others' time. You are not respecting others' the other's ability. Okay, how will you be able to build relationship if you are a self-centered person? Okay, in other words, you just like to put yourself that you're always be the good above others. No, that cannot be. Okay, if you're too the best thing to do there is like you have to trust them, you have to appreciate them. And for me, if you're going to ask me, don't compete yourself with others. Instead, compete yourself within yourself. Take note of this because if you're going to compete with others, meaning to say you will become bitter. Okay, take note of this. We have different types of capacity. All right, there are really people who are really brilliant, they're so bright, blah blah, so on and so forth. And I know myself very well. I can adapt, but I am not as fast as the others. All right, so meaning to say I keep on moving. I am not going to hurt myself by comparing the achievements of others. No, it's okay, and I am happy for them. Okay, if you're happy for the achievement of others, and they will love you, and you will love them, and you will have a good relationship, and you in the end you will be helping with each other. Okay. All right. So the components of emotional intelligence here is self-awareness. How? Self-confidence, awareness of emotional state, recognizing how your behavior impacts others, paying attention to others, how influence your emotional state. Okay. And what are those things that you're going to do if you want to be a social aware person? You pick up on the mood in the room, caring what others going through, hearing what others people. You have to show your empathy here. All right. In the regulation, how you manage yourself, keeping disruptive emotions and impulses in check, acting in congruence with your values, handling change flexibility. In other words, these are the things that you should do. Okay, how you not managing others but managing yourself. Okay, and how you'll be able to build a relationship, you getting along with others. How? Respect them, trust them. Okay, enjoy with them, don't judge them. Okay, you instead you are going to win with an argument, you understand them. Okay, and whenever you express whenever you argue with them, just clearly express your ideas and thoughts. No, don't force them to understand you. If you cannot do, if they cannot understand, it's okay, it's fine, then let them go. Okay, so that's how we develop our emotions or handle our emotions. So emotionally competent leader, how is emotional intelligence related to effective leader? So a high self awareness combined with ability to manage own self emotions, blah blah. I think we discussed this already. And then emotional contagion, means that leaders who are able to maintain balance and keep themselves motivated, positive roles. Okay, so in other words, um, if I am a follower, whatever I see, the behavior or how my leader displays in front of us, I have to duplicate or replicate. I have to follow my leader. So, in other words, if I am a leader, the way I behave, the way I say things, it will create a greater impact to my people. Okay? It could either be they will motivated or they will be demotivated. It could either be they will hate me or they will like me. Okay? So as a leader, you have to behave accordingly. You have to balance yourself. If you're going to impose discipline, be firm. The reason why you impose discipline because that is necessary. Okay? Leaders are there to work for the majority, not just for one or two persons. Okay? So if the decision is not in favor to me, it is okay. But I always keep my I always put myself uh, put my toes on the ground. I have to cooperate with my immediate superior or the person who leads me. Okay? All right. So next, the emotional intelligence of teams research suggested that intelligence can be developed by team competency, creating norms that support emotional development and influence. So in other words, um, according to the research, this emotional intelligence and competency, uh, it it is not being developed by only one person. So in order to have this emotional intelligence, you have to be there in group. That's true enough because how will you be able to understand them if you're the only one person? Okay, so you will be able to use your emotional intelligence when you are in the group. Okay, but you are in the group, you show your empathy. You have to feel what they feel. If they're angry, will you be angry also? If they're happy, basically you'll be happy. All right, so if you belong to the star group as a team, so you will be able to come up with your own support system. All right, so you have to learn from each other. You tend to understand with each other, so don't be indifferent. How will you be able to do that? You manage yourself very well, self-awareness, and you have to build your a relationship with your colleagues, and in the end you will be happy and you will become productive. Okay, so emotional intelligent team forms are those that create group identity, build trust and members, instill belief among members. Leaders tune into the team's emotional state. So this is what I'm saying previously. So if you're going to build a team, and just like for example playing a basketball, meaning to say you only have one way, you only have one state of thinking. What I'm saying here is, if my thinking is we will win, the other one will also think that we will win, etc. They will combine their efforts, and they have to collaborate, and spiritually they will be able to achieve their own goal is to win. Just like for example in the organization, if we are doing good later on, we'll increase our profit, and at the same time, out of that profit, it will also translate it into salary increase and benefits, and it makes the team happy. All right. So there's another note here. As a leader, you can develop emotional intelligence and act as positive role model by being optimistic and enthusiastic. Okay, so try to look at this one. It doesn't make that it's not being stated that a leader should be pessimistic. A leader should always be positive. It's not being stated that the leader should be a negative person. It should be positive, being a role model. Okay, and being positive becomes optimistic and enthusiastic. It's not being stated here that a leader is lazy. The leader is boring. No. So if you want to become a leader, it's not all right. So even though you are a follower, because a good leader is a good follower as well, meaning to say, as a member, you should also be optimistic and you should be enthusiastic. Putting them together, it will work as one, and you have to work for a common objective. As a leader, you can recognize and manage your own emotions so that negative feelings don't cloud your mind, distort your judgment, or cripple your ability to lead. So this is why, all right? For example, if you are a person who always highlights the negative feelings, it will not bring you somewhere. Just like, for example, if you are a student, if you find a subject very difficult and all throughout you will say, no, no, it's difficult, I cannot do it, blah, blah, so on and so forth. It will never bring you somewhere else. It will distort your judgment. It will distort your ambition in life. It will destroy your ambition. So being there, adjusting to the reality of the world, it is okay that you have to encounter this negative feeling, but the what is appropriate there is you have to more or less at least convert this feeling to a positive. Don't cling on negative feelings. Being negative, it is okay. We are human, okay? We normally hurt, okay? Don't be afraid to again, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to commit mistake. It is okay. All right? So, learning from the mistakes, it will bring us somewhere by being optimistic. Okay? Be positive. Maybe I will fail today. Not most of the time that I will be lose. Uh, Not most of the time that I will fail. Maybe the following day I will win as well. Okay? All right. Leading with love results versus fear. So love in the workplace, caring for others, sharing one's knowledge. So this is now the effect if you are going to assert yourself by sharing yourself with love. You care, you share. Traditionally, but on the other side, if the atmosphere is being created into fear, that's something else. Because I'm telling you, unspoken notion among senior levels is that sometimes with the presence of the immediate superior, you are having fear, you're afraid. All right, so you have to change that attitude. Once you are there, make sure that your employees are there, happy seeing you, blah blah, so on and so forth. Because the atmosphere is being created out of fear, that's really very dangerous. Your people will never be happy. Okay? So a fear-based organization loses its people and the knowledge they take with them to other firms. There is a tendency that this person, instead of doing well, this person is afraid she will become productive. The worst is she's going to pack up her things and leave. Okay? So in addition, even people stay with the organization, they typically don't perform up to their capabilities. Why? Because they're afraid. Okay? So a leader should not do this. Instead, talk, understand, use your heart, use your head to understand the situation. Fear in organizations, workplace, fear of failure, fear of change, fear of personal loss, fear of the boss. This is very dangerous. Okay? Having fear, it is okay. But fear should be replaced with respect. Not really fear, but you have to respect your boss. You have to respect yourself. Okay? You have to respect your own vision. You have to respect your own your job. Okay? So all of these fears prevent people from doing their best, from taking risks, from challenging and the status quo, and particularly damage aspect of fear workplace weaken trust and communication. Remember a while ago we were talking here about trust. All right, we are talking about respect. Employees feel threatened by repercussions if they speak about their work. No. So that's the reason why sometimes employees, they are not going to open their mouth. They're not going to share their thoughts because they are afraid that their boss will punish them. So what is the point? Instead to become creative and innovative, instead of contributing something new, new idea, they're going to close their mouth. Okay? So that is now the effect of fear. All right. So relationship leaders, control of fear, act of love and fear, bringing love to work. I don't think there's a need for me to discuss here. So you have to more or less create an atmosphere of respect rather than fear. Okay? When I was working there, I always make sure that my people are comfortable with me. I always make sure that with my presence, they welcome me, because it's a different thing that whenever I am there with them, they are not going to move, they're not going to open their mouth, and it creates tensions already. So you will not be able to think of something new because you're afraid. All right. So if you'll be working later on, you have to love your job, love your motivation, force within that enables. So you have to love your work. People who are engaged rather than alienated, who love what they do because infect others. So it is different that when you love your work and you are happy about it. Okay. When you love your work well, and you will become productive. Okay. So sometimes because of fear, or other than that, if you don't love your work, do you think you will become productive? No. You're just doing it for compliance. And who will suffer is the quality. Okay. So why followers respond to love? Hear, understand. Even if you disagree with, please don't make me wrong. Acknowledge the greatness within me. Remember to look for my loving intentions and tell me the truth with compassion. So I just have to lead up this with you to read. So fear-based. Okay, I think I've discussed this already. And love motivation. There's no need for me to discuss more. You just have to discuss. You just have to read this further. For as long you already understand what's the difference of an environment, whether it is having fear or a love-based motivation. All right. So, summary, leaders use intellectual as well as emotional capabilities and understandings to guide organization. You have to understand your people. Leaders can expand the capacities of their minds and the hearts through conscious development and practice. Leaders should be aware of how their mental models affect their thinking and case blind spots that limit this understanding. Okay? So, leaders take note of this. They have to change their mindset according to what is being given, what is being asked, or what is being demanded in a certain situation. Leaders should also understand the importance of emotional intelligence, self awareness, self management, and so on and so forth. Traditional organizations have relied on fear as motivator. Fear, it is okay sometimes, but I suggest organizations should be create environment should have respect rather than fear. Okay? Because if you're having fear most of the time, it won't create good. All right? So I think that ends our lecture for today. Are there any questions?
Okay. Uh, Now times to Q&A session. Please, for student, if you want to ask to Dr. Ramil about this material today have been delivered by Dr. Ramil about leadership style in leadership mind and how.
Questions?
Any questions, student?
Don't be afraid to ask.
Any questions, student? Anybody here?
Are you still there?
Apakah ada yang mau ditanyakan, teman-teman?
Oh, they're
I'm sure
afraid.
I wanna ask.
Yes. Isabella, please.
Sorry, share permission to ask about Google leadership model. The point of stay uncomfortable. I don't know what does the mean. Can you explain again,
Okay.
share?
All right. Okay. Very good. Very good. I like that. Okay. So when we say the mental state model is this, you will never learn if you are comfortable.
Yes.
Okay. So for example, you are just sitting. Okay. I have to go back to the example I gave a while ago. So you are there as a student, right? So you wake up early. You have to comply all the requirements. You have to study. So are you comfortable with it? Basically, you are not comfortable. It causes your uncomfortability. While you are staying at home, you are just there eating, watching TV. That is your comfortability. That is your comfort zone. So it bothers you. So if you are there, if you experience difficulty, if you experience challenges, if you experience hardships, it is there that you will learn. Okay? Because it is through uncomfortability that you will encounter different challenges, different difficulties. It is an opportunity for you to learn. Do you get my point?
Yes.
Okay, is it clear now? So what I'm saying here is this. It is normal. While we are still living, we will always experience difficulty. We will always feel uncomfortable. Okay? It's really very difficult to wake up early and go to school. It's very difficult to walk, especially during rainy season, just to go to school. It is really difficult to go back home if it is traffic, but that's the way it is. Doing these things causes our uncomfortability, but I'm telling you, you learn because of the process. Okay?
Okay.
Have I answered your question?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Good question. All
Thank
right.
you, Mister.
You're welcome. So today, don't forget, don't be afraid to feel uncomfortable. Ha? It is okay to feel uncomfortable. It is fine. Okay? Afraid if you
Another
are always
question?
okay.
Another question, student? Ada mau ditanyakan lagi dari teman yang lainnya? Atau sudah paham semua, sudah clear? Sudah clear semua teman-teman? Sudah paham?
Sudah, Pak.
Okay, Dr. Ramil, might
Okay.
be this material today is clear. Thank you for today. Thank you for providing knowledge about leadership style in leadership mind and heart. So that's very useful for student. See you next week, Dr. Ramil. We are looking forward to studying with you next week. Maybe
Okay. All right.
about followers in next week.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. I think we only have 2 sessions more, right? Two,
Yes,
two
two
sessions more.
session.
So, okay. So, students, we only have 2 sessions. So, I really encourage you. You have to interact with me. Take the chance, take the opportunity. All right. So, it doesn't matter that you're going to ask questions, even our first lesson, second lesson, etc., so on and so forth. I always welcome to interact with you. All right. So, see you next week, and thank you so much, all of you, and have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye bye, sir.
Thank
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 you.
you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you. See you.
See
See
you.
you.
See you too.